got the Texans fan by the podcast. Jump Bridge, Fifth Ward, Crenshaw. You know the best out there. Keno, from Diggity 713. To all my Texans Nation. If you feeling good, I want you to throw them H's up high. Yeah, like that. I see you. Let's swarm. Yeah, Houston, Texas, born and raised. Yeah, that's where I'm from. The best city in the state. Yeah, we stay turned up. This excitement in the air for the Houston Texans. We swarming all year, causing havoc, we wrecking. Coming off that edge, we got 5-5-5-1. Thing on the outside, locking down your number one. All about the swarm mentality and the H. Standing on business is the way we operate. I rep that 7 like CJ, that 1 like Diggs, that 3 like Dell. H-time we doing it big, you know that 12 out here, and don't you never forget, better pick your poison, cause we got Joe in the midst. We rock that battle red, still blue, Liberty white, H-time blue, drip galore, man, we so fresh, fire like the field. Shout out to the whole squad, chasing greatness, eyes on the prize, one goal, it's time to take it. Let's get it. Throw them H's up, throw them H's up, now you throw them H's up, throw them H's up, we throw them H's up, throw them H's up, let's show love for them Texans, cause them Bulls about to perform. Throw them H's up, throw them H's up, now you throw them H's up, throw them H's up, we throw them H's up, throw them H's up, let's show love for them Texans, cause them Bulls.
Yo, and welcome back to the Texas Fan Battle Podcast. I'm your host today, Matthew Biggs. Guys, we got a special guest, but before I introduce him, let me introduce my team swarm. First off, my A1 since A1, we got Mr. Crenshaw in the building.
What up? What up?
No, I guess he's not having some technical difficulties. Next up, we got the man that needs to be heard, Mr. Kenneth, the messenger. How you doing, boss? Sounds like everybody's having technical difficulties. Well, now let me get to introduce my guest. If you listen to Sports Radio back in Houston, you know him very well. He has moved to San Antonio, so we do miss him in the H. But we got Mr. AJ Hoffman. How you doing, boss man?
I'm good, brother. How's it going over there in Houston, man?
Oh, now I'm having trouble. Oh, let me. All right. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Oh, no, I can't hear you.
Yeah, I can't hear you.
It's not an episode. We don't have technical difficulties. Everybody hear me fine now?
Now I can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you.
I one day we'll figure it out. But AJ, how you doing, sir?
I'm good, man. How's everything in Houston?
Well, sadly, I live up here in Chiefs Kingdom, Kansas City. I hate it, but
Oh,
I
no.
miss it every day. Yeah, I miss
What an
it every
enemy.
day.
What the op. That's what the kids call it. You're an op now.
Yeah. Well, and you're a Bills fan, so you definitely don't like Kansas City. So,
No.
we kind of have something in common. You and I.
Yes, we do.
Yes. Because they're becoming more and more Dallas fans of the '90s.
No,
Like,
I mean it sucks because they're really good, and it happens to everybody eventually. These great teams, everybody. It's nice to see them for a little while, but then we get tired of greatness, and we're just like, give me something new. Give me some. I'm tired of getting my team's ass kicked by the same team year in and year out. I'd like them to get beat by a new team now, please. So that's where I'm at with the Chiefs.
Well, I didn't have a problem with the Patriots because they kind of they took that bad boy persona and ran with it. The Chiefs, they want everybody to like them. They have to, they have to be liked. And I'm like, just stop. Why?
So they're not as liked as they were. I don't think. I think people have found enough reasons to not like them. But hey, man, maybe the dynasty is crumbling. Losing in the Super Bowl, maybe we're on to something here.
Absolutely. Well, before we talk some Texans, what did you think of our intro? Was it you like it?
It was. You guys got to get Stephon Diggs' name out of there. That's the problem, man. That dude, that you talk about something in common, cancer. You're lucky he's gone, Texans fan. Trust me, it's a blessing in disguise. You might, oh no, we're losing him, but it's a good thing. Trust me.
Yeah, we definitely got
Can you
to
hear me? Can you hear me,
get it
Matt?
changed because can't be having him there no more. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, all right. Okay, so AJ, talk. Oh, okay, I'm
Can
glad
you
you
hear
brought
me?
up Diggs. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, how did you guys get better losing Diggs and losing Gabe Davis? How did you guys get better?
The Bills got better because Steph Diggs was like Josh Allen obviously last year was his best year, his MVP year, but the year before was his best year up to that point. The Bills' offense was the best that it had ever been, and Stephon Diggs was still being a squeaky wheel, still bitching about how much he gets the ball. When things are working, you hate to hear people bitching about getting the ball, and it's just not what the Bills' mindset is. They spread it around. Josh Allen is the offense, and the fact that they were able to just keep on rolling without a real number one wide receiver speaks to that. He's a stats guy. He's a me guy. He's a great player. Don't get me wrong. He's not great for a locker room. Not the kind of guy that I wanted to have on the team. So I was not surprised that things got better with him gone because there was no one bitching about how often they got their looks.
Anything else,
Okay,
Chris?
okay, that all right. Because once we got him, everyone thought we was going to the Super Bowl, and it didn't work out for us. And my end game is to get to where you guys are at. You guys have gotten to the AFC Championship. Of course, in the '90s, you guys was in the Super Bowl, but we're trying to get at least to the AFC Championship. What do we need to do now to get to that point?
Man, I think there's a couple things. With the Texans, I knew last year was going to be a bit of a step back. And it's not that I don't believe in CJ Stroud. I really do. I think CJ Stroud's going to be very good. I just thought that what he did in year one was unsustainable. And the league adjusts to you. And like if a quarterback who comes out and plays like CJ Stroud did in year one, the league is not just going to sit back and take it from you year after year. The league made adjustments, and we saw CJ come back to earth a little bit, which by the way, I think is going to happen to Jaden Daniels this year. I think the league is going to catch up with him a little bit. Just like if a quarterback comes out and isn't great early on, if they're worth a damn at all, eventually they will catch up to the league. Josh Allen did that. Josh Allen was not very good his first couple years, and he eventually kind of caught up to the league. I think CJ Stroud finding what his actual level is going to be a big deal for the Texans. And I think how this offensive line comes together. I know the Texans have worked their ass off to get this offensive line right. Lots of overhaul this offseason, which I mean, it's a bold move, man. What D'Amico's doing is a bold move. He believes a lot in the culture, which I think is a good thing. But at the same time, the scary part about that, just like I was talking about with Steph Diggs, like you move on, or you let a guy like Steph Diggs go away, even though he's clearly a talented player. There's questions about how to work out. Laramie Tunsil is no longer like a top 2 or 3 left tackle in the league like he was, but he was still the best. He's still the best player on that offensive line. He's still a very good player. So to move on from him is a bold move, but I think that coach there believes in having a good locker room and having the right guys that fit. I think that his game doesn't happen right away, but I like what the Texans did this offseason. I think they're on the right path, and the best part is they're in a division that is just imminently winnable. I mean, if they don't win the division, like something bad has happened. But at the end of the day, to get into that upper echelon right now, it takes being good enough to lose to the Chiefs late in the playoffs. That's what the Bills, Ravens, Bengals. That's what they all do. Is they all get there, get close. I guess the Bengals got past it once and then crap their pants in the Super Bowl. But it's a tough road to get over this Patrick Mahomes hump. But the Texans, I think with the trajectory they're on, in the next couple years, they could be right there in that mix for sure.
Now, you mentioned the Laramie Tunsil. So, are you in agreement with the rest of the media that says that the Texans are idiots for getting rid of Tunsil and what they did with the line, or are you agreeing with D'Amico Ryan? Is like something has to change?
I mean, it's going to be real easy to say in hindsight one way or the other. Like we'll see how the line comes together, and if it's a disaster, we're gonna be able to say, oh, how could you do that? But I really do think if you believe, and I believe they wouldn't have gotten rid of him if it wasn't a culture issue. If they didn't think that he was I don't want to say a cancer because I've been around Laramie. I don't think of him as that. But I don't think he was thrilled with the trajectory. I think he was a guy who bitched about, and he's paid a lot of money. And I think that when the offensive line struggled, he didn't really step up and take responsibility and say that he has to be better. So I do think it's a cultural move. If it works, I mean, D'Amico's going to look brilliant. But if it doesn't, that's the risk, man. If the offensive line is somehow worse than it was a year ago, it's going to be real easy for people like me who talk on the radio to come out and say, why would you let go of Laramie Tunsil? That's a bonehead move. But I trust D'Amico. Like I said, I trust the way that guy's building this thing. I think they've finally got the right coach. It's been so long since they had a coach that I had any kind of faith in. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt until it doesn't work out, because think about all the decisions that the Texans have made in recent years that people questioned up front, like the trade up to take Will and CJ 1 and 2, and everybody was like, oh, they gave up so much. Well, it turns out, no, they did the right thing. They got the two best players in the draft, and they gave up a pick that wasn't worth a damn anyway. So, I think that all these people it's real easy, like I said, to sit on the sideline after the fact and say, oh, that was a brilliant move what they did in the draft. And it'll be real easy to say, oh, how could they let Tunsil go if the line isn't better? But I believe in them. I think they did the right thing. Now it's just got to come together on the field for them.
Yeah, that's what me and Keno, we're kind of in agreement. CJ Stroud's rookie year, who was the offensive line? It was a bunch of guys that looked like not like makeshift offensive linemen, right? Like you had Howard, Tunsil, they were out. Green, of course, got injured, so you were rotating pieces in, and it wasn't nobody. Oh, look at that! That's the guy. I mean, it's kind of like right now, right? And it was a top 14 line in the league that year. And CJ Stroud became rookie of the year, but you just gotta see what happens, right? Like you gotta see before you hit the panic button. You gotta see what you got out there, right? You can't just hit the panic button because you don't like it, you know. And then I agree with you. I don't think it was a locker room issue as much, but I think it was a mentality, right? Like you said, D'Amico Ryans, he has that swarm mentality. I just don't think and it's not a knack to Lermy. I just don't think he has it, right?
Yeah, and I think maybe it's some accountability stuff. Like people started talking about all the penalties, and these were drive-killing penalties that he was having, and he's not the kind of guy, and that's part of Laramie, is he's not like a vocal leader. He's not a stand up in front of the podium guy and say things. But as this team has built and as the team developed into what it is now, he was one of the tenured guys. And when you're the big money guy, a lot of the times, even if you don't love doing it, you got to get up there and take heat sometimes. You got to talk sometimes. Andre Johnson was kind of the same way. Andre Johnson was obviously the best player on the Texans for almost the entirety of the time that he was there, but he was never like a locker room leader or like a guy that was going to say a bunch of stuff in front of the media. He let his play talk on the field, but at some point there is an expectation that you got to get up there, and especially when things go bad, you got to go up there and take some bullets. And Laramie just didn't seem willing to do that.
And plus, it wasn't like D'Amico inherited him. It's not saying that he didn't want to on the team, but it's not somebody he went and gave 2 first-round draft picks for, not missing no names, Bill O'Brien. But, it's easier for him to part ways, right? Same thing with, it's easier for him to rebuild this line than it is to keep going.
Hey, I mean, he wants to build it in his image. That's what new coaches, new GMs do. They build teams in their image. That way, if it works, it's because of them, and if it doesn't work, they're not getting fired with somebody else's groceries. You know what I mean? You want to be able to cook the meal. You want to pick the groceries, And D'Amico Ryans wants this thing built in his image, and that's where I keep saying I trust what he's doing, man. Because I do think he's the right guy for the job. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt until he proves to me that he doesn't deserve it. And if that means Laramie Tunsil wasn't right for the Texans, then so be it. Like I said, it's a big risk because replacing the actual talent of him is very difficult. But I think what they've done is really smart, and then just gone all in and saying, man, we're going to fix this offensive line no matter what, knowing that, yeah, I mean, you saw it last year. It doesn't matter how many wide receivers you've got on the roster. It doesn't matter how good your young quarterback is. If you can't keep him standing up, none of it matters. So that's what he's deciding is the priority, building from the inside out, and I think it's a smart thing.
Keno, you got anything to add or ask?
As far as adding, I want to touch back to when you stated about the second year, how people figure you out and stuff like that. Um, for me, this and I do agree to that. Just depending on who's the coach, because you got Andy Reid, Mahomes' second year started, didn't have really much issues. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I felt like when it came to us, it was the coaching, and obviously that's why we got him up out of here. And hopefully Nick Caley can be the solution. Of course, it's the first year him being the offensive coordinator, but hopefully he can adjust. I feel like that was Bobby's issue. He didn't know how to adjust, and so that kind of left CJ just forcing to do what Bobby wanted him to do, and it was kind of like just hitting his head on the brick wall. Like you're not trying to go through a brick wall. You're not going nowhere. Like everybody knows what you're doing, and CJ wasn't able to auto anything at the line. So the defense knew what was going to go on. So I feel like that really played a part into CJ sophomore slump last year. But and another thing, I kind of wanted to ask you about your team. As far as the Bills picking up Joey Bosa, how do you feel about that signing?
All right, I'll hit the Texans thing first. I mean, first of all, expecting Bobby Slowick to be Andy Reid, like I don't think anybody was
Yeah,
thinking that.
of course.
I mean, Andy Reid's a genius. That I said when the Texans drafted Deshaun and Mahomes went to the Chiefs. My old co-host Fred asked me like who's going to be the better of these two guys, and I said, well, the one that went with Andy Reid. That's the easy answer. Is had roles been reversed, who I mean, I guess you can't really account for all the weirdo shit that Deshaun was into, but if roles were reversed, who knows what players those guys would have turned into if Deshaun Watson had been with Andy Reid. But also, it's a kind of a be careful what you wish for, because 2 years ago Bobby Slowick was walking on water in Houston. And everybody thought this guy was a genius and the next big thing, an NFL head coach. The Texans were worried somebody was going to poach him. And then a couple months later, the dude's fired. You got to be careful when you start rotating through these offensive coordinators with young players. Like you see a guy like Justin Herbert, Justin Herbert probably has as much raw skill, talent as just about anybody in the league, but he's gone through about 5 offensive coordinators. It's really hard to figure out who you are when you take a young quarterback and you try to put him in a new system every single year, and obviously, you're not going to throw out the golden goose. You're not going to get rid of a Justin Herbert or a CJ Stroud. You're obviously going to try to fix everything around him before you do that, but it does sort of stunt their growth. I think it makes it a little bit tough on them. As far as the Bills and Bosa, man, I love it. I love that they went after something. This is one of those. It feels like a lottery ticket. I don't know if the dude can ever be healthy. It's one of those things where the investment feels kind of low, so it doesn't feel like if he doesn't work out, it's not the end of the world. And if he's good, then man, it's like a big bonus. I'm not like counting on him to be a super impactful guy this year, but if he shows up and is healthy and is playing for some real money, then I think they've really got something there, because I do think when he's right, that guy is way better than what people give him credit for, and a lot of it, his reputation has kind of soured because he's not on the field very often. But when he's out there, that dude is a monster still. And if he can be healthy this year, I think they got a little bit of gold in that one.
Yeah, I still
Well,
have
I
Von
got
Miller, right?
Yeah, Von Miller long gone now, man. He's gone.
Oh, he gone? Okay.
Yeah.
so I got a question for you. Both healthy and both prime players. Who are you taking? Will Anderson or Bosa?
Oh. Man, it's probably Will Anderson. And it's not. It's hard. It's hard to say. We haven't seen enough of him to really know what he is. But so everything I've seen, I haven't seen any bad out of him, and it's hard for me to to put into my mind like if Joey Bosa's healthy all the time, or like because he's not. So
Right.
if Bosa's healthy all the time, then maybe that conversation could be more real in my head. But because he hasn't been, and I've got no complaints about Will Anderson. I haven't seen anything to even question how good the kid can be. So I think I just got to go with him. I think the Texans hit a home run with that one.
The crazy thing is, we have not yet seen a full season of a healthy Will Anderson. Both
Yeah,
years he's been banged up in both years. Like just imagine him a full healthy Will Anderson is going to be.
I think
I
man,
think he's good.
like I said, the Texans building through the trenches and having Daniil Hunter on the other side is just going to make Will Anderson better. And it really does feel like they're building this team the right way and investing in the right people. Now it's just a matter of letting it all come together. But yeah, I like Will Anderson a lot. I like what they've done with him so far.
Well, we took the break last week, so we really couldn't talk a lot about this. So, kind of talk with you. Jimmy Ward was arrested last week for allegedly assaulting his significant other. AJ, I get your take on. Do you wait to find out what he did, or since your safety room is so deep, you just go ahead and wash your hands?
Man, I want to be fair to these guys.
Absolutely.
I hate to, I used to think, man, if it's an accusation, it's pretty legit, probably. Like if it's going this far, if he's getting arrested. But then I think about things like the Trevor Bauer thing bothers me so much that Trevor Bauer like he's having to pitch in the Mexican leagues, even though he's like he's clearly probably one of the 10 or 15 best pitchers in the world, but now no one can touch him, and it's all because he's into weird sex and some chick tried to blackmail him. Like that came out in court that's exactly what happened, but the story was already written that now Trevor Bauer's a bad guy, he beats up women, and even now once we find out that it's not true, it's too late to put it back in the box. That now that's out, and it is what it is. And I get there's something like Chris Beard, the basketball coach that was at Texas. Had they wait, I tend to as someone who's worked in Austin and worked at that university, I would say that generally Texas, if it's even in question, they don't want the headache. But most places, they're going to let that play out and see what ends up happening before they make such a drastic move. Guys' lives are on the line here. I want to make sure, if he's a bad guy, throw the book at him. He should never play in the league again if he did what they're saying he did. But I want to be sure that he did it before I kick him out of the room, because once you cut him and say we're cutting him because he's a domestic abuser, then he's just a domestic abuser, and that's what's on him forever, even if it ends up not being true. So I'm kind of a let's play the patience game. Let's see how it looks. But there's obviously going to have that can't not play into their decision going forward. That can't not be something they have to think about when it does come time to cut down the roster, or they do decide what the depth chart's going to look like. They're going to have to say, man, this thing, if it's still hanging over him, is he going to have to go to court at some point? How's this going to work? And again, it's not fair. Maybe it might be fair, it might be totally fair, but I want to just make sure before I throw something at him like that.
Right, and again, I'm not saying that he did or didn't, but she does have, a kind of a reputation. She had issues with DeMarcus Cousins, kind of lied on DeMarcus Cousins too. I'm not saying she's on. It might happen, it might not have, but I kind of agree with you. You kind of have to wait and see what happens, because it could be all. I mean, I hate this day of age because people like to take advantage of people. So you gotta just hold the horses before you let anything happen. But I do think if it was Bill O'Brien and instead of D'Amico Ryan's, I kind of feel like Bill O'Brien's would probably cut him.
Probably so. Yeah,
Yeah,
but Bill O'Brien was kind of an act, and then think about the consequences of it a little bit later on kind of guy. And Bill O'Brien was also just kind of if he didn't like you personally, then he just didn't want to deal with. He wouldn't put up with football stuff if he didn't like you personally. So I tend to agree. Yeah, if we were in that era, Bill O'Brien probably would have already moved on from Jimmy.
I mean, we can say that, but look at DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, he didn't like
Yeah,
DeAndre
he didn't
Hopkins,
like him.
and we got peanuts for him.
Yep, trade
So
him for a bag of magic beans.
yeah, absolutely. Kiddo, you got anything to add?
As far as to the Jimmy thing,
Yeah,
man, part of me just like you said, she had issues with DeMarcus Cousins. I just don't understand, and I of course I'm not in this space. I don't have a lot of money. I'm not a sports and NBA and NFL player. But why do these guys literally recycle the same woman? And then you knowing that she had, I'm pretty sure he knew she had an issue with DeMarcus Cousins. You didn't think that was gonna like happen to you? Like I don't. That's what I look at. And as far as if he's guilty or not, of course we have to just wait to see. But that's what I'll be thinking about. Like, why do these guys literally put themselves into these type of situations? I say it all the time. If I would have made it to the league, I would have married my high school sweetheart. You know what I'm saying? I would have married a girl that I knew all along because when you make it to that stage, it's like you gotta be careful who you fooling with. And so a lot of these girls, they just out there for the money. And sometimes these guys don't care. They literally take the risk, and then they end up getting themselves into these type of situations. So
You know,
it's just unfortunate.
you hear a lot of people saying, "Oh, why's Patrick Mahomes put up with that chick? She's such a pain in the ass." But you know what? I think Patrick Mahomes knows at the end of the day, whatever the case, he could he get a hotter chick? Sure, he could get about whoever he wants. But at the end of the day, he knows that chick is not going to do him wrong the way that Jimmy Ward's been done, or Demar. I shouldn't say that because again, maybe he did wrong. But there's not going to be some false accusations being thrown at Patrick Mahomes. He knows that, and man, sometimes having that security, having that comfort, knowing that you're going to be all right like that, lets you just perform at a different level, lets you just live at a different level. So,
Exactly.
yeah, man, it's these dudes who these Instagram hoes or whoever it is, I
right.
don't get it. It's not my culture, but
Yeah.
I guess. They must have something that they do right. I could probably guess what it is, but they have something that they do really well that keeps these dudes interested.
I
Man.
mean, they kept getting hired by Deshaun Watson, so they must be doing something right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I had to.
Uh,
But another thing we didn't get to cover last week, Nick Chubb signing with the Texans. AJ, what is this telling you? What are the Texans planning to do getting a running back like Nick Chubb? Granted, he's not the Nick Chubb of past. We get that.
Yeah. That's what I think everybody needs to realize. Like, there's a real possibility that Nick Chubb sucks at football now. I think, like, we should all consider that that's a real possibility. If there's something in the tank, it's kind of like we were talking about with Bosa. If there's something in the tank, you should look at it as a bonus. But if you go into the season saying, man, I'm really reliant now on Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb is who I believe is going to take this team over the top. I think that's kind of a mistake mindset to have, just because I have not seen that dude look like Nick Chubb in about 2 or 3 years. And running backs don't usually get bad for 2 or 3 years and then come back and be great again. That's just not how running backs work. Usually running backs are great until they're not, and then they're just gone. You look at Dalvin Cook is another example of this. My station here in San Antonio is a Cowboys affiliate, and when they signed Dalvin Cook, all these Cowboys fans were so excited. I said, guys, Dalvin Cook has not been good in forever. Why do you think all of a sudden Dalvin Cook is going to show up and be good again? It's just not how NFL running backs work. Once it's gone, it's gone. They Cowboys fans saw it with Zeke Elliott. They got the best of Zeke Elliott. They let him go away. He was away for a while. Then they said, "Oh, let's bring him back. Maybe there's something left." No, you saw it was gone, and it's gone now. Uh, Nick Chubb is such a freak that if anybody can come back and make something of it, I think it's him. But my expectations are very low for Nick Chubb, just because the last couple years have been so rough on him. And that kind of an injury, man, I just imagine it's very difficult to come back from and be right.
Absolutely, Chris. You with us? I don't think his service is letting him be available. Yeah, I kind of agree with you,
I'm
right?
with you.
Oh, okay. Well, what's your take on the Nick Chubb?
Um, I mean, I don't really
I know
disagree.
you've been wanting J.K. Dobbins, so
Yeah, I wanted JK because of age. I feel like he could have been here 2 years. I mean, Nick Chubb, I mean, it is what it is. Whatever we get, it's a good thing, but I'm not really too much of a fan of it. But we're not going to ask him to do much. Long as Joe is healthy. Last year he wasn't healthy, but it wasn't his fault. So I guess I can say Nick Chubb and Joe Mixon both will go as far as the offensive line will take them.
okay. All right.
Man,
Kiddo?
I gotta say, I'm not gonna call it negative energy, but you know what I'm saying. He kind of crushed my my little hopes, man, a little bit. You know what I'm saying. I know the end didn't sounded good when he said if anybody could, come back, could be Nick Chubb, but goddamn, man, he kind of crushed my doggone hopes a little bit. But at the same time, it's like whatever happens, happens.
Yeah,
Like
man.
there's no like, bro, we need Nick Chubb to really be that guy type stuff. It's a
It's gravy
backup,
if it works.
you know what I'm saying? And then also his mindset is different. I don't know if people are realizing it, but he's feeling like this gonna be a 1-2 punch, like a half and half type thing with him and Joe. That's how he's thinking. I like that he's thinking that way because that lets me know that his mind is still in it and that he really wants to go out there and prove what, you know what I'm saying, what Saquon did with the Eagles, what Derrick Henry did with the Ravens. He want to go out and prove that, even though he's been out 3 years, like you said, or hasn't been the same in 3 years. He wants to prove that. And I didn't see this type of energy with Dalvin Cook. And like Dalvin Cook just seemed like he was just there, you know what I'm saying, just to get his little check or whatever the case may be and go on about his business. But I'm hoping for this to be a good 1-2 punch. Like Chris Shaw said, they only gonna go as far as the O line take them. At the same time, the O line wasn't that good last year, and Joe Mixon still got over 1,000 yards. So we just need this O line to be at least top 15. Like
I,
that's what I'm hoping for.
I saw somebody come across on the chat bar. It was saying Joe Mixon came back from an injury and he shined, and that's true. But remember, Joe Mixon when he came back when he injured himself, he was what 24 years old. You know, Nick Chubb's 29 years old, man. That's
And
that's the
that
wall
injury,
for running backs. Like, running backs don't get better once they're 30. That's why nobody likes to pay guys once they turn 30. I mean, you mentioned Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is an absolute freak. He's a different level than any other running back in my mind. But maybe Nick Chubb can do that. Maybe he can. It's tough for me to believe. I wouldn't put much stock in it. But again, like I said, this is a dude who's genetically just gifted. So if anybody can do it, maybe it's him. I think you've got to look at him as gravy. If he adds, to what
flavor.
Mixon can do. But especially if something were to happen to Mixon and Chubb were have to try to have to be a full-time workload back, I don't think that's impossible at this point. So he has to be a complimentary back, and if he does, maybe in minimal carries, maybe he can be productive again.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, I mean, that injury was pretty bad, and that was the second time he's done. He did it once in college, and
Yeah,
then he did it. I mean, that's like, and he's no spring chicken. Like, there's one person undefeated in every sport, and that's Father Time.
yeah,
It eventually comes up and bites you. But I do think the Texans take a swing at it because they know what they got in Damian Pierce, somebody who's not healthy. Like, Nick Chubb's healthier than Damian Pierce. He can never stay on the field. So what's your best ability? It's availability. If you're not that, then you got to find it
yeah.
somewhere else. And I agree with you, AJ. If it works, it works, right? I mean, if it doesn't, then oh well, we'll try
It's not like
again.
they signed this dude to a Saquon Barkley deal.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah.
it's a gravy deal, man. If it works out, it's awesome. But the people who were so excited when you hear the name Nick Chubb, because Nick Chubb was a superstar, you just got to be careful of that because the name, especially with running backs, the name lasts a lot longer than the abilities do typically.
and I think for more like a situational football too, right? Like a 3rd and 1. on the goal line, who you going to give it to? You're going to give Nick Chubb and let him just shove the rock down your throat, right? Like I think that's a reason, automatic bucket, if you would say. If we can get that touchdown, if we get that first down, then so be it. Let's go
But I
get it.
also think my man was right that if the offensive line is no good, it doesn't matter if it's Joe Mixon or Nick Chubb or OJ Simpson. It doesn't matter who's running behind that line. If it's no good, the running game is going to be no good.
Yeah, I saw a crazy stat. Uh, it was somewhere close. It said that Joe Mixon was hit 50.6% of the times behind the line of scrimmage and still got the production he did. That I'm just imagine if he didn't get
Yeah.
hit 50 times, on 50%. It's just we got to be better, and I think that's like we were talking earlier. I think that's why D'Amico Ryans and Nick Casario did what they did with the offensive line.
By the way, I don't know what it says about me that when my mind went to think of an all-time great running back, the first name that came to mind was OJ Simpson. I may have some sort of toxic energy in me that's who came to mind, but I wish I would have gone with Barry Sanders or something, but OJ Simpson just popped out. It was
Earl Campbell,
or yeah, anything would have been better than OJ probably. So that's on me. I'll take the L on that.
Well, one more move that we made. Damian Arnett, former Raider, former Houston Roughneck, made the team. AJ, is this a Nick Casario move? If he hits, good. If not, so be
Dude,
it.
if he makes the team, dude's been out of the league for 3 years and he plays a position where you typically aren't better as you get older. If it happens, I know he played well in the UFL. I think the UFL is I mean it's barely college football level. Like most of those guys are in the UFL for a reason because they can't make an NFL roster. So even the best of these guys, it's still an uphill battle for them. But if there's something, again, it's one of those, if there's something there, cool, it's gravy. Like they can't possibly be signing Nick Arnett thinking, this is going to be, that's who we're going to stand up across from Derek Stingley and we're going to feel comfortable with that. No, I think they're just hoping that they're going to, it's basically checking the tread on the tires. Is there anything here when we want to bring him in case there is, before somebody else brings him in and finds out that there is. So they'll just take their chance with it. It feels like a guy that is a good culture fit for D'Amico. I think it's a guy that D'Amico is probably into. So I don't know whose decision it is. I'm not close enough to the organization anymore to know what the power hierarchy is. But it feels more like a D'Amico move than a Nick Casario move. But I also think they did it knowing that there's a good possibility that he doesn't end up even making the team.
Well, I just said because like last year he brought Jeff Okudah and the former Jag Henderson.
Yeah.
I mean, if they made the team, if they were good, no loss. If they suck, no loss. Right? It was a win-win.
Yep.
If they made it, cool. If not,
yeah, it's low risk investments, and if there's any kind of payoff, awesome. And if there's not, no big deal. Go back to the Arena League or whatever you're going to do next. Go play in Canada.
But the thing that I find head scratching is the fans to believe that we can go out and get a guy like Jair Alexander. I like maybe the money we could make it with the money, but why would Alexander want to come here when we got Stingley? I mean, like we've been saying this whole podcast, age is a valuable thing, and you got a young guy in Kamari Lassiter who's, I mean, he's been a dog. He's been a lockdown corner.
Jair, I think a lot of it was Jair's in a spot where he wants to win now too. I think that's why Baltimore made sense for him. And he's going to go on a 1-year deal, and he'll probably look very good on a very good Baltimore defense. And then at 29 years old, he'll probably get one more contract, and who knows where it'll be. But I think knowing that he was going to take a short-term deal, I think that he wanted to go somewhere where he knew that he was going to have a chance to look really good, and I think that's why I don't know if the Texans would have been a great fit. I think he probably did the right thing going somewhere where he felt he could shine a little bit and try to make one last run at the money.
Well, and
Yeah,
now say like if this happened last year, yeah, Houston would be a perfect spot for him, right? But I just don't see him fitting in this defense because you got guys like Petrie, you got guys like CD Gardner. You got guys who it's going to be hard to take that spot from,
Yeah.
right? So I can see why he went to Baltimore. So the fans
yeah.
upset about it, like chill out.
Yeah,
It's not the end
I
of the
think
world.
they overreacted. My thing is, it's a no-brainer he was going to the Ravens. Not only he's going to have an opportunity to start in the slot or on the outside, because Humphrey he been in the slot lately, so he can start on the outside. Because I think they had like a guy named Stevens. I think he was number 21. I can't really remember, but I'm pretty sure he can mess around and take his spot and start on the outside, the opposite side of Wiggins, and then Humphrey can start in the slot. As far as the Texans, he wasn't going to start here. Like, and that's why I don't understand what some of my fans, they be wanting, and they say, well, you do these type of moves because you want to win a championship. At the same time, you want to do stuff that makes sense as well. The guy wasn't going to start. He obviously want to go somewhere that he can start, and like it just is what it is. Like I don't know why some of my fans get like that. Like, oh goodness, we went and signed a guy from the UFL and we could have got Jared. This guy from the UFL probably not even gonna make the team. Or he's definitely not gonna start. And we're not worrying about him starting. Now if it comes to that, which it could be possible, then we'll get there, cross that bridge when we get there. At the same time, like we said, the guy might not make the team and he's gonna be battling with the rookie Jalen Smith, I believe his name is. He's gonna be battling it out with him to fight for that third cornerback, position. Who knows? The other guy, he might be the backup to the nickel. So I think the guy that we signed, he's gonna have an opportunity to like show, hey, if he still can hang with the big dogs. He's been in the UFL for like 3 years, so we got to see. Hey, you get an opportunity. Let's see what he do. You know what I'm saying? He got a good a story that some people have, and he sees it as a testimony that he's made it through that situation. Some called him a crashed out back then and all that type of stuff, but he made it through that, and he seemed like he's past that. He seems like he grown. Of course, sometimes people can talk like that just because they get an opportunity or trying to get an opportunity. But at the same time, let's see what he can do. Like I don't think he's gonna be he's gonna like really make the team. To be honest, he might make the practice squad.
I think sometimes people also forget that teams are on different timelines. The Ravens are, I think they're the second or third favorite to win the Super Bowl this year. Like the Ravens right now they're looking to add guys who are ready to play right now, who they know can give them something. The Texans are still building up. I'm here in San Antonio, and we're, the Spurs right now. Everybody's wanting the Spurs to make this big splash move. And I try to remind everybody, man, the Spurs right now are building towards being competitive. If you go out and get that last piece right now, it doesn't do you any good because the cake's not ready for frosting. You want to put that frosting on once the cake is done and cooled off and it's ready to eat. If you try to put that frosting on too soon, then the cake's a mess. So I think the Texans realize signing a guy like Jair Alexander isn't what their team needs right now. So I'm with you, man. I think taking the lower risk move, the lower money move, a move that if it doesn't work out, big deal. No skin off anybody's ass. I think that's the way to play it for the Texans because they've got so many young guys that they're trying to build up. You don't want to take away reps from the guys that are when the Texans do contend for a Super Bowl, whether it's in the next 2 or 3 years, whenever it's going to be. Those are the guys that are going to have to get you there. Those guys have to keep improving. And if you're bringing in a guy like Jair Alexander, his timeline just doesn't mesh because in 2 or 3 years, Jair Alexander is going to be probably washed out of the league. Whereas, when you're hoping to contend, you want your guys to be peaking. So it just makes more sense for the Texans timeline to not look at a guy like him.
Can't hear you, Matt. No, can't hear you.
No.
No, I still can't hear you. But still can't hear you. But what I was gonna say about Jair, as far as I just felt like it was gonna be a no brainer. He was going to the Ravens regardless the case may be. Even if we offered him more, which I know we wasn't gonna offer him more,
No.
he was going to the Ravens with his buddy Lamar. And I feel like you said, they are ahead of us. As hard as it is for me to even say that the Ravens are ahead of us as far as like making it to the Super Bowl. Of course, the Chiefs are, and the Bills are as well. You know what I'm saying? So it is a little hard for me to admit that, but hopefully the Texans can take that next step this year as far as just making it to the AFC Championship. If we can
Well,
do that, that's our next step. I feel like.
I mean, I think it's a simple, like Vegas thinks that the Bills, Ravens, and Chiefs are all about even, and then there's a pretty big drop off to the Bengals. Then you get to the Chargers, Texans, Steelers, Broncos, like that next group. So there's a clear top three. Then there's a big gap, and then there's a bunch of teams who have work to do. And I think the Texans are in that work to do group.
Mm-hmm.
And again, you like Jair Alexander's. If the Bengals went and signed Jair Alexander, like a team that's kind of close, and maybe you feel like, oh, their defense is bad. If they can improve a little bit on defense, maybe they got something. But other than that, I figured, and especially once Lamar, like you said, once Lamar came out and said, I'd like to have him on the team, I knew exactly where he was going. So it made perfect sense. It was too good of a fit, just because of the timeline the Ravens are on, and again because Lamar said I want him here. I figured that was a done deal.
Can y'all hear me now?
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
welcome back.
Yeah. I, I'll get it. I'll get it together one of these days. AJ, we're gonna have to cut it off here short, but before we do, I do want to ask you one more question about the Texans. Um, what was your most favorite move the Texans did this whole offseason? It could be the draft, it could be free agency, it could be anything.
Um, I well, can I say releasing Shaq Mason? Okay, that seemed like
Yeah.
a really good one. Yeah, I mean, I no, I do think that was a good move.
I
But no,
thought you was gonna say not re-signing Diggs.
yeah, I mean, I really think not re-signing Diggs, and you know what? I'll throw this one. I'll say getting Christian Kirk from Jacksonville, who's Christian Kirk is not nearly as sexy a name as Stephon Diggs, but Christian Kirk's a go out and he's a consistent performer. He's a dude who's going to give you some. He's not going to be like an all pro. That's not what he's there for. But he's going to be a solid guy that you can trust to put out there on the field. So I do think getting away from some of the guys that they considered either cancers or, in the case of Shaq Mason, just a guy who flat out couldn't play, and it was like it's a tough pill to swallow sometimes. You draft these guys, it's hard to admit that, oh, we blew it on that one. This guy sucks. No one likes to say that, but at some point you got to cut bait. You can't keep giving these dudes chances because of the investment you made in them. So I think just cutting bait on some guys and bringing some good solid dudes who aren't necessarily, no one's chasing their rookie cards. They're not superstar players, but these are guys who that's how you build a team, man. That's how you build it the right way. So I like what the Texans have done this offseason, and I'm hopeful for them that the offensive line moves that they made. Cam, I like Cam too. I'm hoping those offensive line moves end up paying off for them because, like I said, I'm trusting the process. I like the way they've done it. Now it's just getting those results on the field.
Absolutely. Uh, Keno, you got a Texans question before we ask AJ some other questions about himself?
um, nah, I don't think so. I don't think so.
All right, AJ. Well, you're in San Antonio, so I got to ask you a question about San Antonio.
All right.
Are the women still mad at Charles Barkley?
Seemingly so. Seemingly so. But now I think these women down here are starting to find Ozempic, so that maybe there's starting to be less of these big girls. There's still a fair share here of what I like to call them the tortas, but I don't think there's as many as there were when Chuck was talking about it. I think Chuck probably needs to give us a second look down here.
Okay, well, who has the better food? Is it San Antonio or is it Houston all day?
Ooh, that's tough, man. Um, I'll say Houston just because the diversity of good food I can get there. Like one of the probably my favorite thing about Houston, when people would shit on Houston, I was always quick to clap back about, dude, this is a city that they there are people from everywhere in the world in Houston, and on any given day, on a Wednesday, if I want Cambodian food, I can get authentic Cambodian food in Houston. If I want I got RIP Thai Gourmet, but I used to be able to get world class Thai food in Houston. Like what? It's just every culture is so well represented. There's just something great from everybody there. San Antonio is locked in on one thing, and this I will say they do Tex-Mex in a way that Houston just can't touch. And the breakfast taco game here is out of this world. I wish Houston had breakfast tacos like this, but overall, I'll still say Houston just because it was so diverse. But San Antonio, that for what they target, what they try to be good at, they are really really good at, man.
That's one thing I've been craving forever is a kolache. You
Oh,
you go up here in Kansas City and you say, "Hey, do you got a kolache?" They look at me like I'm speaking Spanish. I'm like, "No, come on, man! Like it's the greatest breakfast food of all time." And nobody know. And crawfish, they're like, "We don't cook crawfish. We use it as bait." I'm like, "Come on, people, you got to work with me."
you got
So
to get out of that place, man. Sounds like hell.
happy wife, happy life.
Ugh,
So I'm stuck for a little bit, but yeah, trust me, I tell her every day. I just want to go home.
yeah, get me out of here.
Just want to go home. Yeah, and everybody rant and raves about Kansas City barbecue.
Oh,
It's
come
mid.
on.
It's
Yeah.
mid.
No, dude, if you're the best barbecue in Texas, you're the best barbecue in the world. That's what I've always believed. And if you're the best barbecue in Kansas City, you're the best barbecue in Kansas City. Congratulations.
Yeah,
Get on our level, Bubba. You ain't there. No, but Memphis, North Carolina, none of y'all are there.
yeah. Everybody's like, "Oh, you're just biased because you're." No, I love food. Like I'll admit if it's good. And Kansas City barbecue is not. It's okay. It's not great. But it's not.
It's fine. Yeah, it ain't Texas barbecue, man.
No, not at all. Well, like I told you before the show, we had Josh Ennis on the show, and he said during quarantine, y'all had the most greatest time. Well, how was it dealing with Josh during the quarantine?
I love Josh, man. Josh is a dude who, uh, in radio, there's a lot of people who I always say they kind of mail it in. People think, oh, I've been doing this for so long, I'm good at it, and they stop trying. Josh never has stopped trying to be good at radio. Like Josh respects the craft in a way that I think a lot of people do. And he's not going to be for everybody. Not everybody's going to love the way he does things, and that's fair. But what I do know is Josh gives a shit, and there's a lot of people in our business who just show up and cash a check. And when I was working at 97.5, there was a couple of those guys on staff there that were just there to cash a check and didn't care. And Josh called me, and we had made budget cuts during COVID, like most people did, and we were running some national shows. And Josh called me and said, "Hey, man, I'll come and work for free. I'll come and do the show, so you don't have to run a national show. I'll try and sell some advertisers. If I sell advertisers, I make some money off of it. If not, then you've got a free radio show." And I pitched that to my bosses, and they let me do it. And Josh and Fred and I had some of the best times, man, doing these doing happy hours every Friday. We were finding the worst things we could possibly drink and doing shots on the air. We were just doing stuff. Like there weren't sports to talk about, so we were just trying to have fun. My goal for my radio show has always been I want to be like a show that I want it to sound like a couple dudes hanging out at the bar. And I always say if your friends that you go out with, all you ever talk about is sports and you don't talk about anything but sports, you're kind of a weirdo. I don't have any friends that I only talk about sports with because there's so much stuff in the world. There's movies and music, and there's too many things for you to just have friendships that are only built on one topic of conversation. I can't talk about one thing to anybody, 24/7. So we said, you know what, let's just go in and hang out and make it feel like the people are hanging out with us, and we think it'll work, and I think it worked, it actually it spun Josh into a pretty good job up in Nashville, and he's moved on since. But yeah, Josh made something out of that, which I thought was awesome of him to take a chance on himself and just like stay active and believe in himself and believe that he was going to make good enough radio to go get himself a job, and it worked out. So I was happy for Josh, man. He's actually one of the people that I still stay in touch with pretty regularly. Good friend of mine.
Yeah, we had him on the show, and it was probably one of the best shows we had. I mean, it was just the stories he had for us, and he did kind of make fun. We were talking about wrestling because his I think his mom was a big wrestling fan,
Yeah.
and then he asked me who my top 5 wrestlers were, and I said The Miz, and he just ridiculed me the whole time. But
I mean, that's a pretty bad take, I got to tell you. The Miz, that's come on.
the greatest heel of all time, the only 2-time Grand Slam champion. I'm just saying.
All right, yeah, that makes your top 5 though. That's pretty wild.
He's fun. I love to watch him.
The greatest heel of all time. Have you ever heard of a man named Ric Flair?
Well, I would say Razor Ramon was top up there, but I like him. I don't know what to say.
Was Andre the Giant on your list?
He was not.
Andre the Giant's my favorite of all time. I only want people. I like wrestlers who look like freaks. Normal looking people, I'm not interested in that. I want to see these behemoths wrestling. That's why I'm not into the Miz. I'm not into like this what's it, CM Punk or any of these guys. They're all boring to me because they just look like regular dudes. I want people who look like absolute freak shows to wrestle. That's what wrestling is meant to be. So I either want you to be like a 600-pound giant, or just like a gigantic muscle head, or even like a tiny Mexican dude in a mask. I like that too. But I don't want just a normal dude who looks like one of us in their wrestling. That's no fun for me.
So you're a big fan of the Kane and Undertaker?
Yeah, I like those guys fine. I like those guys. The only guy that was like a regular guy that I liked the Macho Man. I like Macho Man Randy Savage, and he wasn't like a giant or anything like that. But I enjoyed his work too. But yeah, I don't like these guys that are like, Jake the Snake. He looks like my uncle. He looked like my Uncle Tim. I was like, come on, what are you? You're like a big star pro wrestler. You got a beer gut. You just look like a regular dude. Like, I want you to be a freak show. That's what I look for in wrestlers.
And plus, The Miz brings his wife, so that's another good thing I get to look at. So
Okay, yeah, that was a Macho Man gimmick too. Yeah, Macho Man started that, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, thank God for the Macho Man, then, right?
Of course, I haven't watched any pro wrestling. The last time I watched pro wrestling was during COVID. They had nothing to watch, and my kids were like, "What about wrestling?" And I said, "All right." So we got that WWE network for a little while and watched some wrestling, and I showed them some of the stuff I watched when I was a kid, and they were like, "This is ridiculous." I was like, "Yeah, that's the whole point of wrestling. It's ridiculous." But yeah, I'm not an avid watcher, so I couldn't even tell you who wrestles now.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Miz in your top 5. I could have told you Josh was going to make fun of me for that.
Well, I'm 37, so I grew up in the era of the real world. Like I still watch the MVP.
You're 37.
37. I know.
Man, you look 47. What's going? What are you eating up there? You're living a horrible lifestyle, man.
Brother, I got 4 girls.
Oh, that'll do it.
They're teenagers.
That'll do it.
Like that everybody thinks that this is a choice, it's a lifestyle.
Yeah, that's a lifestyle. I feel that one, man. Yeah. I feel that one. I got my son's 17 now, and he's 6'5". He's walking around my house bigger than me. There's nothing more demeaning than like walking in your kitchen and there's a dude with his shirt off, like making something in the middle of the night, making some food, and like you're like, "What the hell are you doing in my house, man? Big ass, get out of here." It's emasculating. It actually is.
You got him in football? Is he playing some football or?
No, he is actually a really good baseball player, and he's headed to Puerto Rico in July for like a big showcase tournament.
For him?
So yeah, he's been playing ball since he was 5 years old, and been playing club ball since he was about 9. So yeah, he's a pretty good pitcher, which I guess being 6'5" helps him when it comes to that. My other one, my little one, 13. I say little. He's a pretty good sized kid too. He's about 5'9", 5'10" at 13. He wears a size 13 shoe. He's 13 years old. It's crazy. But he's going to play football this year. He's been playing baseball, so they stay active, man. They stay in it.
See, I wish my kids sadly got their athletic skills from their mothers, so they can't walk and talk at the same time, let alone bat. So it's been nothing but TikToks for me. I I can't stand it. So, but
That's just aging you, man.
you got anything else you would like to ask Josh? Or I'm sorry, AJ.
No, man, I
No,
appreciate you guys having me on and talked in a while. So, man, it's good to hear from you, boys.
Yeah, we
yes,
definitely got
sir.
to get this going again one of these days. But till then, AJ, why don't you tell everybody where we can find you and what you got cooking? That way we can support you.
Yeah, my station is 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star. It's at SA Sports Star on Instagram and Twitter, I think. And then I'm at AJ is the real on Twitter and Instagram. And my show's on from 6 to 10 every day, 6 to 10 a.m. So I'm up in the mornings. It's crazy. But yeah, we're having some fun, man. We're just doing the kind of radio that I like to do. They've been really cool with me and giving me like basically full creative freedom to do the show how I want to do it. And I show up at work and have a good time every day. That's all I can ask for, man.
Well, again, AJ, thank you for coming on. But before you leave, I one more question:
All right,
Who's the better basketball player, Akeem Olajuwon or Tim Duncan?
Hakeem.
Oh, you
Yeah,
are. Yep, you
it's
are.
I will say it's closer than people want to admit. Tim is almost underrated if you can believe it. But I think Hakeem is if not the best big man of all time, he's certainly in the top 2 or 3. Anybody who says Bill Russell, Hakeem would have eaten Bill Russell's lunch and shit it back in his lunchbox and made him eat it. There is no way some dude that was beaten up on plumbers was going to hang with Hakeem. So I just think he is he's on my all time top 5. If I were making a starting 5, Hakeem is my big man.
I got 2 nephews that are 15 and 16, and they argue with me about basketball all the time. And I tell them that I think Akeem's better than Shaquille O'Neal. But they try to say that Akeem is not even top 10. They even said that Ray John Rondo is better than John Stockton. And that's when I just walk away from the
Go
conversation.
make them watch the 1992 or the 1995 NBA Finals when
Well, I told you, sweat,
make them watch what Hakeem did to Shaq in the finals,
clean sweep.
and
It
those
wasn't even a match.
those kids will shut. Now, mind you, Shaq was still a baby then, yeah, and I'm not trying to diminish Shaq, but Hakeem was,
He's an all around better
dude,
player.
he's just great everywhere, man. He was a skilled big. He was elite defensively. He was just everything. Shaq was just a freak. Shaq was a physical anomaly. But Hakeem, all day, I'll take Hakeem over just about anybody, man.
Yes, sir. Well, AJ, you have a good night, and we'll definitely talk to you soon. Okay?
All right, boys. Good to talk to you guys.
Yes, sir. All right, Keno. Why don't you tell everybody else where we can find you, what you got cooking, that way we can support you. There you go.
All right. Can you hear me? All right. Y'all can follow me on YouTube, TikTok, and Twitter at Here Can Out. And I just been cooking up some videos about boxing, sports, talking basketball, WNBA, NBA, and also football as well. But yeah, y'all give me a follow, subscribe, and continue to support the Texas Fan Battle podcast, man. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna continue to go up. The season is almost here. Got a couple of months and preseason gonna be here, or shoot, really like a month or two. And preseason gonna be here. But yeah, man, it's exciting time. Football season is almost here, man, and we going up for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Make sure you follow our brothers in arms that couldn't be here. Texans TV, Battlefield Everywhere. He just dropped the album. If you haven't been listening to it, you need to. It's good, some good tracks on there. You follow our boy Johnny Honcho at H Town Honcho 713, and of course the guy that's going to argue with you about everything and anything. We got Mr. Crenshaw at Fifth Ward Crenshaw everywhere. Definitely check it out. You can find myself at A1 Day One Texans, and then of course the show at Texas Fan Battle everywhere. Next week we got Fred Worry coming on the show, so we're going to talk a little bit of offensive line. Hopefully, get let you fans are doing a Chicken Little impression, thinking the sky is falling. Maybe he'll calm your nerves down a little bit, and sit back and relax before you hit the panic button. But until then, stay blessed. Have a good week. We'll see you then, and we out.